And welcome back. South Africa has spoken, and the words that shape 2025 are finally revealed. From the global stage to everyday slang, the Pan-South African Language Board, in partnership with Focal Point, has crowned the nation's linguistic champions. Now, G20 tops the list, echoing South Africa's historic role as the host of the global summit. And on social media, the word valid reigned supreme, echoing Gen Z's stamp on approval across platforms. Everyday buzzwords like government of national unity kept political conversation alive, proving language is the mirror of our times. And rounding it off, the South African Sign Language Sign of the Year was I love you, reflected in the pulse of South African life, proving that language is more than just words. It is a culture, identity, and power. Now, joining us to discuss this further is Ntobenhle Huluhulu, who's the Senior Manager for Marketing and Communications at the Pan-South African Language Board. Ntobenhle, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Why is it important for us to keep track of words that are in high frequency and rotation of use, new words, new buzz phrases that comes in? What does it tell us about ourselves?
All right. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers as well. Well, it is important that we take a moment to really pause and think about where we are going as a society. And I think what SA Word of the Year actually gives us is an opportunity for us to just reflect on what have been our preoccupations. Because as you know, that the media leads in terms of national conversations, whatever is within the news cycle is definitely what everybody else on the street will be talking about. So we've got some concerning things as well that are recurring, such as, if you look at some of the words that have been shortlisted, such as femicide, which is really not the first time that it has been shortlisted. I think previously we had a gender-based violence as well in the shortlist. So it allows us to really take stock of what is happening within the country, our challenges, and how are we receiving this, I guess, with your categories such as social media, what is happening there, what is your average ordinary South African talking about as well.
Yeah. Are moments like these evidence of language changing over time?
Absolutely, absolutely it is. If you look at for example, your social media category, you've got words that are cutting across linguistic lines, right? You've got I think one of the words that was shortlisted was haukonahale, which is a Sipitori term that means it's impossible or it can't be, and it has been made popular by DJ Maporisa, and you can hear a person even from Eastern Cape saying haukonahale because it is just the kind of global, I suppose, because we are also influenced by, what is happening there on social media, particularly on platforms such as TikTok. So we are sort of embracing each other's languages, which is a good thing. Like you said, we also, with the social media category, you've got an English word, which has been there for a while. But I mean, South Africans have got this innate ability to, just give words a different meaning or to just embrace what, the different languages are bringing. So we do find that, it is how cultures emerge. It is how we tend to appreciate what each language brings.
Yeah, with words often losing meaning or having an adaptation in meaning. The example of DJ Maporisa there, is a very good example because it can often lead to misunderstandings between peoples of different geographies, ethnographies, and perhaps even of different generations in how they access certain words and how they access language. And it can, of course, lead to a situation where miscommunication prevails. Are we in a situation yet where the change is happening so fast and so rapidly that we're beginning to see some of those shifts in understanding and perhaps even miscommunication?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of changes that are coming through, particularly within the social media space. Words that we, as the older generations, really find difficult to understand. You find that like a normal word now has a different meaning. I think one of the things that I learned through this process, through this campaign, this is an interesting word that the young ones are using, saying Oshabeni. Oshabeni is a village in KZN, right? However, because it was made popular by I think somebody from a reality show, now they use it as a state of mind. It says you are relaxed, you are unbothered. I mean, so it certainly does, call for a bit more conversation amongst generations, because you can, be, I don't know, a bit confused. I don't know if you've heard about this one as well, which is one of the words that we received, which is 6-7. I mean, that is just numbers. But if you listen to the young ones, I mean, they understand what it means. We certainly do not. So yeah, but it is an interesting, something that is emerging, and it certainly does call for a bit more open conversations, maybe just trying to bridge the gap between the generations.
Yeah, I can tell you now for free, 6-7 means absolutely nothing. And I guess that's the whole point. At what point do we then take serious the process of formalizing and documenting some of these changes in a way that we recognize it as a formal part of language and linguistic expression?
Well, from our side, I think I was on SABC, I think a couple of years ago, we were actually challenged to say, look, as PENSAL, perhaps we should be looking into having a dictionary. We certainly do have a structures that are responsible for the compilation of dictionaries in all of the official languages, which is the National Lexicography Units. So in the case, for example, for words that are not in our dictionaries, at some point, obviously, the ideal situation is for them to be actually put in there, because we are also looking into the preservation of languages. I mean, we've got other words that are coming up as well. I think, during the Mbenenge Commission, there was a word coming up through there for emojis, which is, I think, for Sikosa, which the interpreter did a very good job there. I think she called it not dolazana. So these are words that we as PENSAL can actually authenticate and verify to ensure that then they become part of the lexicon of the language.
Yeah, and let's talk about languages getting lost and diluted. Are we seeing a trend of that showing up in the data? And of course, we know some languages are vulnerable to extinction as a result of migration, as a result of integration, globalization. All of these have an effect on language. But are we seeing any other languages perhaps being more vulnerable to extinction?
Well, yes, of course, there are those languages that are, facing extinction. I think you may know of Omakatrina Esau, who is the last fluent speaker of the Ngu language, which we are, working towards trying to ensure that we preserve that. We've just published a talking dictionary, which is an audiovisual dictionary, to try and capture some of the words within that language to ensure that it really doesn't die out completely. However, as you know, language is an evolving thing. So language evolves as we go. There are things, or particularly with technology, that words that would not have been there before now that terms have to be coined, and PENSAL is there to ensure that we standardize these terms. We actually just launched a glossary with Google a couple of months ago, which really just looks into the language of AI. Ideally, we want our languages to be able to speak. We want to be able to speak using our languages in whatever discipline there is. Our languages have the capability of, explaining terms in mathematics, explaining terms in science. And so that was the whole intention behind, some of these preservation efforts that we are currently seized with.
Yeah. Tumentle, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your work. Really do appreciate it. Tumentle is with the Pan-South African Language Board. Well, that's where we leave it for today. Thank you for joining us. Really, really do appreciate it. We'll be back with you tomorrow for the week ahead. But up next is SA Today.